Hello, everybody. My name is Tiziana Inesi, client manager for Kilpatrick, international headhunting and HR consulting company. I have the pleasure to welcome you to the podcast Türkiye Through Her Voice. The aim of the podcast is to give voice to Turkish ladies who have reached leadership positions inside or outside of the country. We will listen to their voice with an open mind and try to understand the reality better without stereotypes. So today I have the pleasure to welcome Seda Fidanboy. Seda is, welcome Seda first of all.
Thank you.
And Seda is the head of energy sector strategy for UL Solution. She came all over from UK, where she's living in London. And I would like to ask you, Seda, you are living in, you're working in an environment that is male dominated. Can you describe the path that you took in order to achieve your goals of being in a leadership role in such an environment?
Sure. It's a great question. I think many of us go through this, but we don't talk enough about these things. So I really appreciate this opportunity, first of all. So when it comes to my journey, I started studying industrial engineering. So at the very beginning, even before I started my career, I put myself in an environment where girls and women were outnumbered. And that's the case for many engineering departments, as you would imagine. I studied industrial engineering, but you will find the same story across the board. So in a way, throughout those 4 years in your undergrad, you get used to being surrounded with a lot of boys and men and having only a few ladies around you. So it feels a lot more natural as you start your career. So it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice or a criteria for me when I was making my career choices, whether it's female dominated, male dominated. I don't recall myself thinking about that at all when I was choosing my career path. I was thinking, looking back, maybe part of that is I was quite used to it when I was studying it.
And let me ask you this. How was your family reaction when you went to your family and said, hey, daddy, mommy, I'm going to be an engineer? How did they react to that?
Yes, I was very lucky to have very supportive parents. And I very much appreciate that because I know that's not necessarily the case for every woman. For me, I also had another elder sibling in front of me who was also an engineer. We are 3 girls in our family, and she's a civil engineer. She studied civil engineering. So, but I don't also recall her having a fight over it. So my parents were very supportive. Let us choose what we are good at and what we enjoy doing, because we're going to spend the rest of our lives dealing with these things. You better like it. So I think it is, especially when you're a parent, when your kid shows certain strengths in certain areas, I think your primary goal should be supporting and cultivating that strength rather than forcing someone to something that they don't want.
So you finished the university, chosen a very technical study, and then what happened? Tell us more about it.
So then I was in Ankara studying in Middle East Technical University, but I'm originally from Istanbul. So right after that, I came back to kick off my career. So I wanted to move into an area or start my career in an environment where I could see as many different industries as possible and as many companies as possible before I settle on something. So, okay, what can I do then? Consultancy looked like a great choice because, it's going to give you that sort of exposure. And I feel that gave me that chance of observing different industries, how they operate.
At that time, you were in Istanbul, right?
I was in Istanbul. I started working at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. I stayed with them for about 3 years. And that gave me a well-rounded perspective. Very early on in the career, I think it's very valuable when you're very junior. So I observed different industries: pharmaceuticals, automotive, energy, finance. So different field, very different atmospheres, very different ratios of men to women coming to this topic, as you would imagine. Having said that, that wasn't the criteria for me to decide what I want to do. Mainly because I was used to it. For other people, might be a criteria. But for me, early on, it wasn't the criteria how male-dominated an industry was. So that's how I kicked off. And after 3 years, I got an acceptance and also a scholarship from Manchester Business School in the UK. I always had that idea. Okay, I studied technical, but I want to move on the corporate ladder. So I want to have an MBA as well. And then, to me, 3 years work experience is a little bit on the short side for an MBA. But then I got a scholarship, so that made good financial sense. So I said, okay, probably I should move on now. So after my MBA, I decided to go for the energy industry. The main rationale behind that was I always find, at that time, also still, energy industry is very pivotal when it comes to setting the scene for the rest of the industries, for the economy. It is very closely tied to the macro trends, but also it has elements: technical, strategic, financial, operational. So in that sort of environment, you can have a very, very well-rounded career around it. And it's very dynamic, keeps changing. That change is not going to stop anytime soon. And that makes it quite intellectually stimulating, keeps it very interesting and fresh. So for me, it's very important because I have a tendency to get bored after a while. I need something to keep it interesting and fresh. So continuous learning, those kind of things are naturally embedded in the industry like energy industry. So to me, that was very appealing.
It sounds to me, it looks to me that you had made your choices consciously, meaning I know a lot of people that I'm not underestimating, but what happened in life is like by chance they just found themselves in energetic or in automotive or whatever. It sounds to me that you made your choice consciously. It was never by
stumbling on something. Yes, it was. The way I made an entrance was because at PwC it was quite industry agnostic. So I was working on different types of industries. And then, okay, I want to go into the energy industry. I don't have any specific background in the energy industry. How can I do this? So I leverage my consultancy background, even if it's 3 years. PwC is a well-known name. So I thought, okay, maybe I use that one. And that's exactly what I've done. So after MBA, I got myself a consultancy job again, but in a company specializing in the energy industry. So it was quite a quantitative type of consultancy. They were doing a lot of forecasting, price forecasting, modeling. That gives you, again, a nice bird's eye view of the industry. You get the dynamics while you are working with some large players in the energy industry, but it's still a consultancy type of job. So there is still some value that you can bring as a consultant. So that's how I kicked off. And then, okay, I don't want to spend the rest of my life as a consultant. I want to move on to the the middle of
Which was your initial
thoughts. Okay, let's move to the action, and then I wanted to move to the client side, to the corporate side, and then I joined EDF. EDF is a French energy giant. I worked in their UK business. They also have a large footprint in the UK, and I worked for EDF for about 10 years across 4 different roles across the energy value chain. More or less all of them were strategy domain jobs, function-wise, but the context was changing again. I get bored, I told you. So after a while, I need a bit of a change. I wanted to have as well-rounded view as possible to expose myself. Okay, I started in corporate strategy. Perfect place to start because it gives you a real high-level view, but you don't get into the details enough. Then moved on to the power generation strategy, mainly working on investment cases for large power stations that EDF owned and operated. Then moved on to the retail side, the energy supply side, completely different business. You wouldn't believe they were the same company. Very different culture, different types of work styles and different dynamics. And then finally, I moved to the infrastructure side, which was more on the smart metering program. And after 10 years, I've been approached by my current employer, Real Solutions. It's an American company. It's not an energy player in itself, but it's serving the energy industry. So now I added another angle, service provider angle. So it's a company that provides technical testing and certification type of services to large energy equipment manufacturers like Siemens and ABEs. So at the moment, I'm leading the global growth strategy for UL Solutions. In a nutshell, what I do in plain English is where we should invest, why we should invest, and how we're going to win. And it's the remit of the role is globally. So it's not just US, it covers all regions because your strategy needs to be tailored to the regional dynamics. And that's in a nutshell what I do today with my team.
So you have chosen let's say an industry which is male dominated, which is energy. And then you have chosen a function that is really men dominated, which is the strategy. You decide where to invest and why to invest and in which direction actually the business will go in the future. Do you agree that both sector, industry and function are dominated by male leaders?
Yes, definitely. Even within the energy industry, even beyond strategy, you will find many commercial roles, operational roles can be male dominated. I mean, it's not specific to strategy. As it is an industry, energy is traditionally very male dominated industry. I believe that pattern has started to change for specific functions like HR, as we discussed, maybe finance. We see more female leaders, which is great to see. But I think the other functions still have quite a lot of room for improvement in terms of striking a balance. Yeah, we still have a lot to do.
And this regarding the industry and the function, I would like to ask you your opinion about the differences in terms of territory, meaning what do you think that are the main obstacles that ladies that want to reach leadership position are facing in Turkey rather than, for example, in the UK? Is there any difference? The obstacles are more or less the same, men everywhere, or how do you see that?
Maybe what I'm going to tell you might be a little bit counterintuitive. But when I look at, let's compare like for like, because there are lots of different types of companies. Let's take a multinational company, energy company, operating in Turkey versus operating in the UK. So in Turkey, you will be required to graduate from one of the reputable universities, right? So okay, and then the market is smaller, the talent pool is smaller, and then once you get yourself into that kind of company, I believe at least in the first maybe 5 to 10 years, you don't necessarily feel that barrier as a woman as much as you feel it in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, because I believe by getting yourself into a good university, you have eliminated already a lot of the competition before you start the workforce, before you even kickstart your career. The market in a place like London is very competitive. You're competing, the talent pool is a lot larger. You're competing against talents from all around the world. So I think the competition is stiffer in the UK, and in Turkey, getting a talent, regardless of whether the man or woman, is a good thing for large companies, and they appreciate that, in my view. So to me, in the earlier years, maybe even operating in Turkish environment, assuming it's a large multinational company, doesn't necessarily have bias against women, neutral enough. I believe that might be a bit easier for women to climb up the ladders. It takes a bit less for effort. I don't want to, of course, underestimate. It's always a lot of effort for a woman to move on in a male-dominated area, but you don't feel like you are a woman when you are from a reputable university, right? In Turkey, as much as you would feel it in the UK environment. Funny enough, I believe in the UK, one of my observations was the traditional role models for men and women are quite strong in the UK. That was a surprise to me. I was expecting, as a developed economy, they would have overcome that better than Turkey has done. Maybe if you look at the whole workforce, maybe yes, that's a correct statement. But when you compare large companies with equally well-educated women, I believe Turkey offers actually quite a good deal to women to progress, because your skills are valued. There are a huge number of people with the same skills that you can offer. It doesn't really matter that much whether you're a man or woman. Just get the job done, right? So I believe that
it's very interesting what you're saying. Extremely interesting, and I've been living also abroad for a long time in Germany, which you would think is really one of the most developed. But I made the same observation that in Turkey, the larger companies, we're talking, of course, about multinational or big companies, they tend to give credit to the merit and the possibility, as you say, to get the job done rather than if you are female or male. It's interesting to observe this.
One point I want to make there, though, getting job done is a very helpful thing. I think in the first part of your career, in the first 5 to 10 years, it gets you to places kind of that you want to go. But after a while, as a woman, you need to be very careful about how you manage that, because then people see you as a doer, not a leader. I think that mind shift has been something quite eye-opening for me, because yes, being a doer is great. Getting job done is great. It gets you to a certain level, but after a certain level, it's not enough. And
After
you need,
middle management, I
yes,
mean.
you need to make sure you're not kind of boxed into that area. Oh, she's a doer. Yeah, she's great at that. Let her do the executor. So it's great. Yes, you need to be a good executor to become a good leader. I mean, of course. But then I think you need to manage that quite carefully, or maybe take a leap of faith to throw yourself out of your comfort zone to start the leadership path, because it is not going to feel the same. And sometimes I feel in the later years that might fire back if you really stick to that executor mode too tightly. So there is a bit of a mind shift that's waiting.
Yeah, it's also interesting this that you're saying, because feeling useful, yes, somehow also a part of being a woman, and it's a risk in the working environment, because you feel like you are doing your job and you're doing it good and everybody needs you. And what's the best for a woman to be needed?
Of course.
But then, as you said, you need to get out of this feeling of being the executor and maybe risk, right?
Yeah.
Risk a little bit to go further.
Yeah.
Now, going back to Turkey, what is the suggestions that what lessons did you learn during your career that you would like to share with a young Turkish lady that would come to you for advice?
I would say, regardless of what kind of educational background you come from, if you come from a highly technical engineering background, I see it as an advantage, because you kind of naturally learn not to take that as a barrier for your career progress, at least in the earlier years. But it's not really the end of the story. You may not be coming from that kind of background, which is fine. I would think, if you choose yourself one or two things that you are really good at, that you enjoy doing, I think you need to invest in it, and you need to differentiate yourself from your competition, regardless of whether they are men or women. So creating that is going to make your life a lot easier as a woman, because let's be realistic. I mean, that's one of the observations both in Turkey and in the UK. Sometimes women are expected to achieve more, to reach the same level, the same compensation, same title, whatever. So it is what it is. Is it fair? Absolutely not. But I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm not going to just sit down and cry and complain about it. Yeah, it is a long-term game. I think we have to keep our kind of stamina, but keep pushing. So one way I found very helpful personally is just find things that you are very good at. It can be different things. Like you can be a very good storyteller. You can convert very complex stories into nice, digestible, concise stories. Senior leaders love it. Use that into your advantage, for example. So things that differentiate you from many others, because then people will come to you for those things. You create a reputation for yourself, a profile internally in the company. And in a way, that expectation from you that we need to operate at a great level at everything kind of reduces down when you really leverage one or two things that you are very good at. People kind of don't pay that much attention to the rest of it that much. So I think that propels you a lot faster. Because if you keep focusing on, I have to be good at everything, yes, if you leave it to them, they will expect that. Maybe more than they would expect it from a male counterpart. Unfortunately, it is still the case. But I think by playing at your strengths and investing in them on a continuous basis, you can kind of navigate or shortcut it a little bit. That's one thing that I would suggest early on. Find your spark. Find something that you think you can do better than others.
And that you like.
That you like as well. Because you tend to get a lot more successful in things that you really like, right? So it feels a lot less effort. Even if it's a lot of effort, it doesn't feel like it. I think your chance of success is a lot higher if you play it that. So to me, that's a way of getting through that. Obviously, there are different strategies. Many of us employ different things. That's how I kind of operated and try to find my way in a very male-dominated industry. That will be the key thing. And then the second suggestion I would say, and also a challenge that I observe for women particularly, you said something that resonates quite well. As women, we like to be helpful, right? It's innate in us, as in our nature. It's good. But sometimes, again, it backfires in a way, there's this task, not very high-profile task, right? It's non-value add. I call it noise. Has to be done, yes. Someone needs to do it. Let's give it to the woman,
The lady.
the lady, right? She's good at organizing. Let her organize the event. I mean, it's not going to help her career. It's not going to help her raise her profile. Yes, it has to be done. I think one recommendation I would give, first of all, if you can say no, say no. I appreciate you. It's not an option all the time, especially if it comes from your skip level, someone from very senior, right? You can't just say no. That's not acceptable either. Don't burn the bridges over small things. Yes, but I think, okay, if you can't say no, can you delegate it? If you don't really think that's bringing you anything at all, but be flexible in that. It doesn't have to be very relevant to what you're working on, but it may give you exposure to people that you don't know. It's also evaluate. I mean, be flexible in your value definition, but some things are really mundane. All right, they don't give you anything at all. Has to be done. So say no. If you can't say no, find someone else that you can delegate. If you have a team, maybe just allocate it to a few people. If that's not an option, maybe you don't have a team yet. Then at least share the load. Because the more you take on these things, the more of those type of things will pile up on your desk. You can be sure of that. People see that, and they kind of give it a try, see how it works. She can't complain. She didn't complain. Let's just push these things to her way. The danger with that is you feel like you are keeping everyone happy or helpful. That's good. I'm not saying you should be a difficult person to work with, but I think you need to be clever in terms of what you're spending your energy and your time, your capacity on. You all have finite amount of time and energy. You don't want to waste it on things that doesn't really matter, because it steals away from things that matter to you and that should matter to the organization as well.
But talking about young ladies, we have here one member of our team, Beceste, that is always curious about experience of ladies with success. Beceste, do you want to ask something to Seda?
Of course. Thank you so much. So basically, our experiences are kind of similar in a way that I was raised in the US and now you are living in the UK. I was just basically wondering how, from your standpoint, you were able to adapt to the UK, because I had a very, troublesome experiences adapting to the Turkish environments.
Sure, that's again a great question, because yes, professionally, many of the settings might be very similar, but the culture itself makes a huge difference in how people operate. And a lot of the power and status is very close connected to the cultural elements, actually, maybe sometimes more than your tangible outcomes. So you really need to find a way to read the culture and to operate in it effectively. For me, I had my own culture shocks when I first moved to the UK, especially in a professional environment. One stark difference that I realized was in Turkey, it's very common for you to be very close with your colleagues. When I first moved to the UK, that wasn't the case at all. People were separating their personal life from their professional life very clearly. I first felt very isolated. Okay, is it me being outside of the circle because I'm coming from a different culture, from a different background? Is it that? Then you start observing their own dynamics as well. Okay, probably it's a part of the culture. They also don't like to mingle outside of work. Very exceptions exist, obviously, but it doesn't happen very often. And it was a bit of a shock to me because I was so used to being so close with everyone. And okay, one of the things that that I picked up, okay, I'm not going to be able to continue in the same way. Either I will find other circles for myself to feed myself emotionally, because I need that human connection. I mean, everyone of us are different. Some of us need that more. It depends on our cultural background, etc. So I can't survive on my own. So I need a bit of a circle. Okay, maybe if I can't do that with a certain group of people, can I do it with others coming from different backgrounds, similar to mine? You kind of create your own mini circles. And maybe it's not common everywhere, but you still have your own circles, maybe more international community that you can do that. That was one way of me overcoming that. The second point was, okay, after a while, I just started also observing some of the positives of separation, because it's not actually a very bad idea either. Because when you become very close, it gets a little bit harder for you to operate on a professional level. Let's say you need to give candid feedback, or you need to have a difficult conversation with someone. That is happens. It happens. We will have to have. It's a lot harder to have that with a friend of yours. So I also understand the benefits of it. And now, if I would come back to Turkey, I'm sure I will struggle again.
Same way.
Right? Now the other way around. But that's how it operates in Turkey. I think if you don't build those relationships, life will be harder for you professionally. I think observing and reading how things are done, how decisions are made, what matters to people is critical. And you need to be flexible, but also you need to be patient with yourself. Allow time. These cultural shifts sometimes take time. It took me a few years. I mean, it's not an overnight change, of course. You need to just be gentle on yourself a little bit. It's a big change, but I will get used to it.
I know you have a small daughter. So now, if you could remove for her a written or unwritten, formal, informal rule that you think that is an obstacle for ladies to arrive to leadership position, what would you remove?
To be honest, I really get very frustrated when I hear companies implementing quotas for women leaders. That's not what we need. To me, that's not the way to achieve a balanced workforce either, or equity or anything. All we are asking is actually just let us be. And just remove the barriers. You don't need to do anything for us. We are competent enough to do it ourselves. We don't need your help. We are all right. Just leave us on our own. We can navigate through things. I think that's all I'm hoping for by the time she's a grown up. That she doesn't have to fight over so trivial things, that the assumptions that people make about her just because she's a woman, or just deciding on her behalf what her role in the society should be. It's a very individual thing to decide. I mean, it's no one's right or job to define what's right or wrong for a person. I mean, and your gender really needs to be irrelevant to hold this discussion. I know I'm fully aware we are far, far away from that. But I think we can start with small things. A few things that I observe still today, 2025. It's a shame that I'm still picking up these kind of stuff. These are small things that I will talk about, but makes a difference in terms of the culture you create, how we include and exclude people with your language, for example. Language to me is a very clear sign of your thinking, right? So unconsciously you choose words and they reveal a lot. I don't know how many times I received emails, which I am as a woman, at least me and maybe some other women copied, gents, starting as gents. It just boils my blood because this is not a boys' club.
Yeah, exactly.
Being gents, or as a matter of fact, ladies, starting an email, a professional writing, any piece of correspondence in a professional setting, you don't need that word, okay? It doesn't matter whether it's a group of gents or ladies or however they want to identify themselves.
It's interesting you talk about languages because something that we don't have in English but we have in Italian is the differentiation in language terms between female and male. And there is a big discussion in Italy whether this is important or not. Meaning, if you say, if you use always a male adjective to express to a community that can be female or male, it is important.
It is.
Because language is one of the way we discriminate people.
You do.
So I really appreciate what you said about the language because it's the first, it's our, after the appearance, it's our first presentation to the world, is the first approach to the world. So if you use it in a gender aggressive way, it has a meaning.
It has a meaning.
It has a meaning. And Seda, to just we like to sum up, and we like to ask the same question to all our guests. What we would like to ask is if you think that in Turkey we are going in the right direction to achieve a world where men and women will have the same possibilities of leadership and access to positions in an equal way. Is Turkey going in the right direction, in your opinion?
A disclaimer to start this discussion. Obviously, I've been living outside of Turkey for quite a long time. So my observations are an outsider's perspective rather than someone who is here living it. So from an outsider perspective, when I compare the work environment compared to 20 years ago, for example, I believe the number of companies that can offer a level playing field for women and men are not growing up. That's my feel. At best, it's stable, maybe even going down. There is, yes, progress in certain areas, but it's very patchy. So it's, if you happen to be in the right kind of company, you can be very lucky and you can climb up very quickly. I'm not underestimating that. I think in Turkey, you need to be very careful to choose where you should start. And if you are not happy, you should be quick to move on, to find the right environment for yourself. You don't have too much time to lose because where you are matter a lot in terms of different company as a lady. So don't waste your time, I think, in a company that you feel is your talent is not appreciated enough. So Find yourself one or two things that you are really good at and know the value of it. If someone is not valuing it,
Move on.
move on,
Mm.
right? If you don't like where you are, you're not a tree. Move on. I love that saying. It's just move on.
Mhm.
So find the right environment for you. My concern is that the number of those type of environments may not be growing up. So you need to maybe be a lot more alert, a lot more connected to people that have gone through that journey, especially if you want to stay in Turkey. I think building those connections is super important.
Mhm.
It's equally important everywhere. It's also super important in the UK, obviously anywhere in the world. But where you don't have a huge amount of choice,
Mhm.
I think it becomes even more critical for you to become connected. So connect to your alumni from the same school, people who have made that journey before you, or you ask your friends. Use any network you can have. Stay close to those people, and observe the types of companies they work. So you can guess if someone could make their career as a woman. It tells about something about that company's culture.
Mhm.
Find yourself the right environment. Otherwise, you're gonna get stuck because there are so many companies out there that they're not gonna make a difference for you. Your life is gonna be a lot harder. Not saying in the UK you have an easy ride. Every company offers you like that. It's everything you want. No, it's not. But I think in Turkey,
Opportunities, maybe more.
more opportunities. Yes, the talent pool is larger. More people are competing with each other, but also the opportunities are number wise more. In Turkey, it's kind of more close knit community, maybe smaller number of companies, but you have to find the right environment for yourself. Otherwise, you can get stuck for a long time. So that will be the main difference.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Seda, for being here with us. I particularly appreciate it because I know you are in holidays, so you used a little bit of your time to share your journey and your experience with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, everybody, and stay tuned to our next episode.